Hello and welcome to NONI, Yanga's flagship talk show, where we discuss the topics that you, our viewers at home, are talking about just a little bit louder. My name is Amina Taylor, and today I'll be asking my guest, should couples be obliged to go to sex classes? So who are today's guests? Well, joining me on the panel are the presenter Monique Pink, the author and motivational speaker Aisha Rebecca, and the screenwriter and producer Babi Isako. Ladies, good to see you. Hi. We often discuss on this very program the value of good relationships and what they bring in terms of companionship, support and intimacy. And such is the importance of relationships. Many couples will fight hard to try and solve problems they encounter that could put what they have at risk. I'm sure the majority of us would applaud those who see relationship counselors or therapists to help them fix any problems. And we'd probably not bat an eyelid if they told us they were having help with intimacy issues. But what do we think of the idea of practical sex classes? Classes where couples go to learn and physically practice better sex techniques. Now, these practical classes already exist and are sometimes run as weekend workshops where couples and maybe a few single people can learn about the secrets of shedding inhibitions, tantric sex, and better sexual communication between themselves and their partners. Well, all well and good, I hear you say, but what if we made attendance to these compulsory for new couples, for couples about to get married, for couples who have been together for longer than 5 years, and even couples thinking of splitting as a part of the mediation process? And maybe, forgive the pun, but a three-line whip, if you like. Or do we think that intimacy is such a personal, private, and nuanced experience that enforced attendance is likely to do more harm than good? It's a frisky one today, ladies. Let's hear your thoughts. I start with you on this one, Monique. We talk about intimacy issues in a very broad sense, but I believe two things are compulsory when you get together with someone that you plan on spending any quality time with. First of all, declare your financial situation. I don't want the bailiffs turning up. And secondly, I need to know if you and I are compatible in the bedroom, because that's a lot of what's important to me in a relationship. And if maybe we're not on the same page, let's not waste 7 years of each other's life finding this out.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important to me, to be honest. I don't know how important it is for everybody else, but sex is a big thing to me. And if we're not on the same level, I can't go any further with you. You know, taking it back to the question, I don't feel that they should be obliged to go to sex classes per se. I think that, you know, we've got friends, we'll talk to our friends about it, we'll give each other tips and stuff like that, but I don't think that they should have an obligation to go to sex classes. That should be something that should be done willingly. But, you know, if we're not on the same level, you're not for me. I don't do vanilla sex. I don't do it. Vanilla sex is not for me. And if you're vanilla and I'm, you know, fancy and fruity over here, it's not gonna work. It's just not gonna work for me.
Aisha, we've just met, so I won't ask you if you're vanilla or fancy or fruity. However,
I mean, I'm sure you can tell, surely. Not joking.
However, if you are serious about someone, for people who are religious, who might seek perhaps the guidance of a minister to talk about important things in their lives that are emotional obligations, that are financial obligations, why ain't anybody talking about your sexual obligations and perhaps showing you if you're not quite already experienced enough to be able to say what that should look like and how that should feel?
Yeah, I do strongly believe that if they are going to seek help, it should be, like you said, from a minister or whether they be from a religious background, to talk about it openly before they even get married in the first place. The same way they're obliged to talk about their finances and other issues, they should also talk about the sex. What is it going to be like? How are we going to do this? You know, and it should be an open communication between both husband and wife.
Is that part of the problem here, Babi? We get into a place where the assumption is it's just a little awkward to be really open in our communication with your significant other. So you'd rather bumble along through the rest of your marital days and hope it works itself out, and hope he understands what you say when this doesn't work, or hope he understands, or that you get where he's at as much as he gets where you're at. How frank would you want this discussion to be entering that new scenario?
I think that communication is key, and communication is important in this stance as well. That anything to do with a couple, you should be able to openly communicate with your partner with. So I definitely believe that if you have been in a long-term marriage and, you know, things are a bit slowing down or not how, you know, you'd like it to be, I think that you should be open with one another, not necessarily go to get counselling or go to get classes, because even if you get classes, you have to think about, what are those classes going to entail? Is it just you two? Is there other people in the room? What is the person going to be teaching you or showing you? So I don't believe in the classes, but I do believe in communication and just finding out what works best for your partner, and you can openly tell them what works best for you. So I do believe that talk needs to be had.
Well, you said something here that you're not sure what the classes are like. Well, let me help you with that, because we take our responsibility here for research very seriously on NONI. In some of these classes, it's somebody watching you and advising you. In other classes, there are practitioners who will demonstrate for you. In a lot of cases, they are accredited therapists. So it's not, we got a guy off the road who can help us here, and who are in committed situations, who will demonstrate what's going on, why it's going on, what's the best route to X, Y, and Z, and to be very, very specific with this, because sometimes we joke around an issue, and actually, I've met guys who have no idea where is what. And you waste so much time and energy. And if only we were in a space where we could take away some of the embarrassment, take away some of that feeling that it's, oh, I can't, this is, you know, this is funny, or this is kind of something that's titillating, and deal with it the way you'd go to a home ec class, and you're like, okay, so to get the right kind of bread, I've got yeast, I've got water, I've got flour, this is how we do it.
Brings it back to what Bobby said earlier. I do believe in open communication in a relationship. I don't think it should get as far as being in a room with a group of people,
or just you, your partner, and
just
the therapist,
you, your partner, and the therapist. I'm okay with if you feel that that's what works for you. But before you can even get to that stage, I do believe that you should sit down with your partner or your husband and be open, like just be honest.
How do you do that?
You know what?
It works. Just go out for dinner or something, you know.
I was gonna say, like, a way that I used to always do it, I don't know about anybody else, but I like watching porn. So, I mean, a good thing is you could sit and say to your partner, let's watch porn together, and then when you're watching it, be like, oh, look, would you do that? What do you think of that? And, you know, stuff like that. You'll be watching it together. You will be able to bounce off of each other and think, okay, he likes that, or she would like that, or do you know what I mean? And that's how I learn. I mean, I don't know. I've watched porn for years, and that's how I keep him with the no.
Fair enough.
That's my thing. I mean, you know, go watch it on a weekly basis, you know.
Keep up with the trends, apparently, because you don't know what those kids are up to these days.
Yeah, but I'm getting older. I'm in my 30s now. I don't know what the youngins are doing these days, so I just got to keep up with the trend.
On a practical level, I now have friends who have either been married, now divorced, or are in their second stage of life. You know, the kids are of a certain age where they don't need to worry about the babysitting thing anymore. And they're discovering themselves in a way that they hadn't previously. Over some Prosecco, real conversation about, oh my God, is that supposed to have happened? Or do you know, this has never worked for me? And other women feeding into that and saying, oh, you didn't, or you haven't, or whatever. My very good friend, Amanda, she will thank me for the shout out. She said to me at 36, finally, she can tell somebody, no, you need to stop. This isn't working for me. That's right. And you are not picking up on my cues. So unless you want this to be a really poor experience for both of us, either we need to take a step back and assess what's gone wrong, or you need to go. And so many of us don't have that conversation anymore. It's almost like we are okay with having a bad sexual experience and being all right with that, because that's we just expect it not to be that good, and it's about the guy, and thank you very much, it was lovely, and we move on from that, instead of saying, no, this can be great if we both give it some thought and know what we're doing a little bit more. So why shouldn't couples who are entering a stage where things are either stale or they're getting to know each other really well take that further, Bobby?
Well, first you need to ask yourself, like, in order to take it further, you need to have the conversation that we need to take it further. How do you do that? So, exactly. So even before you go...
Aisha said over dinner, Monique said over porn. I'm not really sure there's a middle ground.
You know, in terms of going back to the question that, you know, should couples go and see, you know, take classes, before you get to that stage, you need to have that conversation. Otherwise, you're not ready for that stage anyways. So I do believe that, again, it's just communication. Sex is very sacred. So I don't feel that someone should be watching you whether to give you advice or not. Okay, because it might not
some
work.
Some people might like that though. They might like
some people might do, or it could get you very conscious. You know, someone's is like when you go to school and you're studying, teachers like, do this. This is how you should do it. You're doing it wrong. You become conscious. You become even more insecure that you're not doing it correctly. So I feel that you should. You know, if something is not working, if it's someone that you're married to, which, you know, in most cases, I think, like you said, it should be a long-term relationship, you should have that conversation of, this is not working. If you're not open enough to have that conversation, then you're not maybe in the right relationship. If you can't open up to that person about what's working with you or not, then maybe you're not in the correct relationship.
Fresh relationship.
Yeah,
when you still need to give yourself
when do
time.
You really introduce that? Like, you know,
well, from the
some men
Some
men don't give oral sex. When would you introduce it? If they want to be in a relationship with you and vice versa, when would you?
I think when you met someone for the first time, you get to know that person, and you both need to lay that foundation, not just on your finances, but especially sex, because that is the most important thing, and you both need to enjoy it. So if you're someone that likes to be pleased a certain way, you've got to tell him, like,
straight up, like, honey,
this is
if
how
this
I
don't
want
happen,
it. If it ain't happening,
you
then
ain't happening.
That's right.
Basically.
and I think going back to the question in terms of
I'm going to just stick a pin in this little mutual love session here for a second, because we need to take a short break. But when we come back, I'll be asking my panel if a relationship is finished once the sex is gone. See you after the break. Welcome back to NONI with me, Amina Taylor, and my guests, Monique Pink, Aisha, Rebecca, and Babi Isaku. So, the question we were discussing before the saucy break was, should couples be obligated to go to sex classes? And now I want to ask my panel if they agree a relationship without sex isn't a proper relationship at all, and if couples who do it are kidding themselves that they're happy. You know, that's my actual dream, ladies. To have a best friend who I have sex with maybe twice a month. Like, genuinely.
It's an F-buddy, isn't it?
No. We live together. You're the father of my children. You're beautiful. We have the best time. You're like Chris Rock. You're hilarious. But the actual practical sex thing,
it's too much?
Not too much, just...
I mean, I calmed down. I used to want it every day. I was like a hamster. But, you know, now, I mean, I'm fine with doing it once or twice a week. I'm all right with that, depending on my mood. But
it's, you know, we were discussing maybe before the break a little bit, before we go into this sexless marriage situation here, if maybe the idea of what puts us off about these classes is that they're touted as a big deal, as a thing, and not the same way you'd go, well, I've got my gym appointment at 7. It's just a part and parcel of your maintenance as a couple. And that is how you keep things fresh. Some people might go on holiday together. Some people might have that little weekend break away. Some people might go on staycation. Some people go to dinners. You guys go to an occasional sex class and you're like, right, so we looked at this week and maybe next month we'll look at this. Babi's looking at me like, please, my grandmother won't see this. My grandmother won't see this.
That, though. Surely you could just think of things.
Yeah.
You know, you could think to yourself, let me try something like that, you know.
For myself personally, we do like the getaway.
Say what?
What do you do? What do you do?
I'm just taking notes.
Well, for me and my husband, we make sure that we take at least once a year holiday together.
Just you guys.
Just us, no kids. We leave the kids with my mama. Hi, mom. And we go away.
She wasn't giving alms to the poor, Mama Rebecca.
And we make sure we go away. And when we're away, we talk about everything.
Yeah.
That includes what's happening, you know, in the bedroom. Because
So it's like
important.
maintenance for the
Yeah, you
relationship.
have to.
Yeah.
You have to. So those are one of the ways I feel you should do. Try all those things before going into a room and someone telling you where to put your bits.
I'm very creative, so I just come up with different things, and I'm like, oh, let's try that. No, let's try this.
But how do you open that conversation?
With the person.
Well, it's usually during the time, and then I'll say, let's do it. Like, you know, like anal sex, for instance.
Oh, look at the time.
A lot of the time they might be like, no, that's an exit, not an entrance. And I'm like, I say, I'm not doing that. Oh, yes, you are. If you're going to be with me, you are. Like, so, you know, I'm just a free bird like that. With my partner.
Fair
Yes,
enough.
of
my
course.
partner.
Fair enough. And it's about a conversation because
Yeah.
I saw your face kind of turn a weird shade there while Monique was.
Too much. It's too much, Monique.
I didn't want to like highlight that as a PG thing, but what I wanted to say was different couples have different
That's
expectations
right, exactly, yeah.
about what
So
works.
try
and
what works
doesn't
for
work,
you.
yeah.
Try what works for you.
Definitely.
But don't let it be somebody making that decision for you and
Yeah.
saying, oh, you're getting married next week, or you're married, you've been married for 7 years, you must attend this. No, it should be what works for both of you.
But if people are failing so badly at this,
Then they're not
might not be sometimes to just inject something else.
Yeah, it's just about
maybe,
keeping
you know
things
what?
fresh. And I do agree in terms of
Yeah.
like traveling together
right.
and doing more stuff as a couple, or taking some time apart individually and then coming back and keeping it fresh.
What about, sorry to cut you, what about when there's no sex before marriage and they don't actually know what they're doing?
Isn't that a right time to sit down and talk?
Because
They
I mean,
need to
if
talk about
I
it,
didn't
talk.
know what I was doing,
Yeah.
and then I got married, and then we're in the bedroom, I don't watch porn because obviously, you know,
It's not
religious
right, yeah,
reasons,
yeah,
you
yeah.
can't watch any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Got a friend called Zara, she don't watch it, tried to make her, but she's not
Zara.
doing it.
Yeah, I
You know, hi Zara. But following you now.
Yeah.
But imagine it would be good to have a class there and be like, look, this is how it goes. This is what you're meant to do, or you know, this would work well if you did. I mean, I'd run the class.
But what you need to remember though is that the whole sex after marriage is that you haven't experienced it with anyone
all,
else.
yeah.
So for you,
wouldn't know what to
you
expect.
wouldn't know what to judge. So it would be more of that sacred thing, and that you know, we're just enjoying each other's company. And the more you get to know each other, then the more you can explore. But you don't really have anything else to judge it on.
But what if one has experienced it and the other one hasn't?
Then
they
the person
leave.
needs to
Teach,
teach me,
teach,
honey.
lead,
He's got whoever the
No,
person
that
is
is so
has to
true.
teach.
So what happens if you're in a
Yeah.
stage then where you both come to the realization that maybe sex isn't as important an ingredient holding that union together as perhaps I would think it is? Would you be able to exist in a plane where there was no sex? And do you understand couples who say, you know what, we just don't. It's not a part. Some people go running together. Some people have sex. We go running. We don't do anything.
Some people don't actually enjoy sex, and that's fair enough.
Maybe they need one on each class.
Monique will come up.
can't.
Some people don't actually enjoy it. There's women who don't actually enjoy, you know, having sex, and that's fair enough. But as far as your husband or your partner is aware, so it's not like a one-sided thing where
So it's not an one of you.
exactly.
It's fine. that you're
Yeah.
having
So
a
you both
sexless
have to
union.
agree on like we both this doesn't work for
The
us. Let's try
friendship for
something
us
else.
is more important
That's
than
right.
the other side of a relationship.
I agree. I agree. I think it definitely depends on the
Because if
couple.
one of you thinks you're in a sexless marriage and the other one is
then you've got a problem. Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah.
A big problem.
I've never
Your
met
face said
anyone.
no.
Yeah, Monique.
I've never met anybody that is in that kind of relationship and they both are like, yeah, let's jog instead of have sex. It's like,
But you
why-
know what happens as well when you get older and you have
Hey.
children. Sorry, no, I'm not pointing fingers. But I'm just
You'd be
saying,
surprised, yeah.
your life becomes so busy. it's not like you don't want to have sex, but you don't have time. I was just saying before the break that I know people are actually booking the sex with their husband or partners. Like, babes, we're going to have sex on Thursday.
Oh my God, I can't think of anything worse.
But, you know, it does happen because we're living in a world where everyone's busy and sex is not a priority for some, whereas it is for some.
Yeah.
So those
I
are
could genuinely
express
see
myself.
that.
That's how I express
because
myself.
it's the communication angle,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
If that's your love language,
That's mine.
and the other person's love language is I pay the bills.
Yeah,
so
I've been
it's
told
good.
that I'm not affectionate.
Yeah.
But unless I'm in the bedroom.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's needed for me.
Yeah.
So this whole sexless relationship
I
thing
wouldn't
just would
do
be a
it,
no.
no.
You see, I could genuinely consider that.
No.
I think I could
It
be
doesn't
in
need
that
to be
happy
every
place.
day. It doesn't need to be every day. But
It needs to
surely
be filled.
weekly at least. Otherwise, I'll feel
I'm
like
looking
not-
around like,
I'll feel like I'm not attractive enough. I'll feel like I'm not attractive.
So you need the sex to
for
make you feel attractive.
Well, not that I need to, but I'd like to feel wanted. Why do I need to walk down the road and I've got guys saying, "Oh, hello, pretty girl," or whatever, and giving me all this attention, but the partner that I'm with, living with, we don't have sex. I mean, I'll be like, okay, is there something wrong with me?
Yeah, I agree.
You know?
Yeah.
So isn't that
totally.
part of the conversation you're having about the communication?
Yes, of course.
In terms of what makes me happy? Because if I'm saying as a woman, a perfectly sex-filled woman, but somebody who can say, you know what, I am just, it's taken a step down on the list of priorities right now.
Right.
And if we could just be harmonious together, that will be all right for me for a little while. You know, I mean, I can't see it being a permanent situation, but if the drives are not matching,
I mean, don't get me wrong. If it's a case of I'm not in a relationship, I can go like a year without having sex. I'm very good with just keeping myself to myself. But it's when I'm in a relationship, I feel like sex needs to be there. Otherwise, I will feel like we're not connected.
we're not connecting at all.
Yeah.
It just... Now let me just read out a little stats for you, because they talked about this survey of 5,000 people in the UK, and they said 44% of the guys and 22% of the women said the reason for cheating was due to sexual dysfunction within the relationship. So the statistics also bear out this idea of the communication within that union. How would you try and ensure that the conversation going forward with anyone you're in a relationship with could take on all of the different elements that we're discussing here? Because on some levels, it's your upbringing. We don't know what you've been exposed to, so just busting that out over dinner might not be the best way. In other ways, we're talking about premarital counseling. In other ways, we're talking about trying to save the relationship. In other cases, there is just no sex at all, and is that a decent situation for people to exist in? Aisha, what would be your advice for couples who A, want to spice it up, or B, want to get to that situation where all is good, even if it means no sex is involved?
I mean, whatever works for you, brings it back to what I said earlier. It's all about communication. So you have to speak up and say what you want. You spoke about your friend who waited all her life to get to the point of 36, or is it 37, to
36
say,
years
to say what you want, to say no. And it brings it back to how you were brought up. Like you said, if you were brought up in the home where you can actually share your opinions and speak your mind very openly, like Monique, then you have to say it. But then there's people who don't actually like speaking. So find other ways to pass the message across, like, oh, you know, this is how I prefer, you know, to be treated in this way or that way. But you have to speak out and say to your partner, this is what I want. Because if you don't say it both ways, then there's no other way to fix it.
Babi, is bad sex enough to end a relationship for you without telling me your business?
No, I don't think it is. I think everyone's different. I feel there's no right or wrong answer.
But there's right or wrong sex, Babi.
There is. But I wouldn't say that if you, maybe the sex is bad, but then you communicate well, you get along well, you know, everything else works well. Would you really sacrifice the whole relationship just because of your sex?
Yes, I would.
Well, so some people would, some people won't. If it is really bad,
I would sacrifice. I'm letting everyone know.
A name just popped into my head.
No, but do you know what? But then that's when you need to go and speak about it and get advice about it. You know?
And maybe that's when you need to speak to a counsellor, like you said, or somebody.
When you're at the edge, you send that long essay in the message. Like, I don't think this is going to work. I don't do vanilla sex. You know.
But maybe that's the time then.
I think I think I had to end it with moving forward. Yeah. This might not be working in for me. Yeah. Aisha, last word from you on this topic.
No words, just speak your mind, people. Like, just say how you feel and how you truly feel and what makes you happy. If sex makes you happy, your partner should know that, babe, come on now. And if you're not a sex person, just tell them as well. So then you both can agree and come to some type of mutual agreement.
Mutual agreement, mutual pleasure.
I agree with that. And if all else fails, just watch porn together and then you just get it.
I don't know if we were officially endorsing that position, but tell what you will. All right, guys. On that note, my mom is watching. My name is Amina Taylor, and my fantastic guests for this segment were Monique Pink, Aisha Rebecca, and Babe Isaku. And thank you so much for joining the program. And please don't forget, every episode of NONI, past and present, is online at yangatv.com. So wherever you are and whatever you're doing in the world, please, you can see this show and other great content from Yanga. Join us again soon for more entertaining and frisky chats. Goodbye.